Hi everybody, Justin here, WisconsinWX.com meteorologist. Looking at the storm right now that's going on. I talked a lot about that in my previous video. Go check it out. Link is somewhere, probably in the description of this video below, but also the website. I'll have a lot of information on that. I went live on Facebook, so I covered this storm in detail. I just wanted to point out, looks like it's on target. It's for southern Wisconsin here. Snow for everyone in Wisconsin, but yeah, you can see these darker shades of green. Heavier snow bands moving in. With the heaviest amounts probably somewhere in the vicinity of Dubuque to Madison. Here's my snowfall amount forecast. If you're interested, again, I already went into detail on that on the other video. Okay. We're going to be looking at the Friday storm, but we're also, I guess, mainly looking at what we're moving into this large scale upper level pattern, the weather pattern, what are we expecting for the next week or two, but also January in general, what can we kind of expect? Here's the 7-day forecast for central Wisconsin, Wisconsin in general. I'm gonna get the red shading you see behind the graphics there, and the gold shading behind the graphics. Those are like storm events. I have a color shaded by impact, expected impact. Again, the red there is just kind of a moderate impact system, Tuesday night into Wednesday. So today's Tuesday, so tonight we're expecting that moderate impact system. Even if the graphic, the snowflake is only showing a 30% precipitation, this is just a visual to kind of look at it in a timeline scale, timeline format. But yeah, and then another one probably Friday into Saturday. But I don't think the Friday into Saturday one is as big of a deal just yet. So temperatures hovering around average for this time of year. Likely to move above average, I think, as we go into the first week of January. But yeah, generally average. Again, when we're talking about above average in the coldest time of the year, you're warmer. Yeah, I mean, you could go up to 40s and 50s in the warmest situations. But I think we're kind of talking more about like 30s to 40s in terms of when it's above average temperature. But typically, because averages here in central Wisconsin tend to be somewhere around 20s, 20 lower 20s, and that is the case for a lot of Wisconsin. A lot of Green Bay, Oshkosh, Wisconsin Rapids, across the high tends to be around 20, low 20s, and that time frame kind of goes into February. So the coldest time of the year is January into February. We haven't looked at this in a while. I'm not going to show you the MJO because I looked at it and it wasn't that interesting. This is the PNA, and the only thing I'll notice, it's been very consistent. I would say very consistent. Not, I wouldn't even say it's positive. I think there's moments of positive. It's certainly been more positive than negative, but trying to draw this plus sign. Wow, that's a great plus sign. But yeah, I mean, that's generally nothing really major going on in the PNA end of things. So that's the trough or ridge in the west coast, sort of somewhere in between. I don't know. There's not much to read from that. However, when we take a look at the Arctic oscillation, since the middle of November, it's been turning negative, and as we sit today, it's pretty well negative, and it's probably going to go even further negative. Typically, this is associated with cold air penetrating into the lower 48 states, or a more perturbed and active weather pattern, as the Arctic jet stream tends to get undulated flow, wavy. And so we're seeing that. We're seeing an active weather pattern right now. It's stormy and unsettled, but kind of what you might expect in December. It's just a little bit more busy this time right now in the Christmas to January 1st time frame than I've seen recently. But that's the AO. Again, PNA, not much to glean from it. Pretty consistent AO. Going negative, and perhaps later on in the period to go positive, but that's interesting in my opinion. Here is the 500 millibar anomaly for next week, basically the first full week of January. And what I'm seeing in here is sort of a pattern like this. Wow, I still got that line in there. Whoops. We'll leave that line in. This to me is a lower anomaly. Well, this is what it's saying. It's a below normal anomaly in terms of heights here. So this is going to tend to be a trough probably, or cold air kind of coming through here, and then you get a jet stream coming more out of the west, as opposed to the opposite of this would be obviously right a ridge here, and the cold air dipping into the eastern United States. So what we're getting now is more of a stormy pattern, and it's been stormy, but it doesn't look like it's stopping anytime soon. Okay, this is what the pattern we're heading into for the first week of January. Just to show you the comparison between, this is the GFS, to show you the European ensembles. Pretty much the same for early next week, okay? So this tells me that it's probably going to stay active. I didn't go any further than that, and I don't really care to, because when I looked, it just seemed kind of like more of the same, or just a step further with it. So naturally, you would have the trough here, and then you'd probably see that trough axis move into the central United States eventually, and then some other regime move through. But yeah. In terms of temperature forecast, this is the first week of January, the first full week. This is only a 5-day block. The average temperature looks like it will be above average across the eastern half of the United States, even the eastern half of North America. Why is that? Because you're getting this warm flow coming up like this, okay? You're getting a warm flow. And at times, this may even be a zonal pattern, more flatter, kind of get more Pacific air moving in. What you're missing is the Arctic penetrations moving down like this, so you're getting the opposite right there, okay? That's what's driving this temperature outlook. I grabbed a precipitation outlook for the country, roughly the same time period, because naturally you would think it'd be wetter, and here it does show a little bit of a wetter tendency across the central United States from, I believe that's Missouri up through Wisconsin. Generally, nothing too major, but this is the middle of January, so it's interesting time frame. Or not the middle of January. It's approaching the middle of January, the coldest time of the year. So when it's above average in terms of precip, you kind of take note, because it's like, is that snow or rain, or what is that going to be? My temperature forecast for the entire month of January looks like this. Again, maybe I'm too cold in here. We'll see. But the majority of Wisconsin is probably going to be in that above average range. But when all is said and done, okay, initially it might be warmer. Maybe it cools off later in the month, and that's where you return back to more of a normal. Okay, this is when all is said and done. What is that monthly review going to look like? Probably something similar to that, but we'll see. Sometimes I don't do so well in the monthly forecast. And in terms of precipitation for the month of January, my forecast is for above average in Illinois, Indiana, Chicago, with a near normal signal in Wisconsin. Now, again, like I said, this is January. So is it going to be more snow, or is it going to be more rain? I would tend to say probably if you have a normal January, it's probably going to be pretty snowy. And with that above average trend in the Illinois range, maybe it's just a hard thing to communicate, but probably maybe more snowstorm activity. Again, maybe not the entire month throughout, maybe just at the beginning or just at the end or something, or maybe it is all the way through. But anyways, that's kind of what I'm thinking. So when you see this is generally a good sign for snow here in Wisconsin. I wouldn't be worried about snow. The other aspect of this is sometimes this time of year you can get a northwest flow, and you can get a lot of clipper systems. And that tends to be a colder but more reliable snow signal. This to me seems more like you might get some rain moving into this whole matrix here at some point. And this is just a month-long generalization, so just beware. Okay, so I'm going to draw Wisconsin in here really quick so that you can see it. Here's Wisconsin, and here's the edge of the United States, North America continent, generally. And we're watching this upper level pattern develop right now. So you have the context of what the ensembles are showing with a ridge, with the troughing developing on the western, really out of the Pacific, but on the western United States. And you can kind of see that going on here a little bit. This is actually through this week. So this is January. What I'm showing you, this prog right here is January 1st, with a storm system in the southern stream ejecting into Wisconsin. And then as we go through time, you're not seeing a huge deviation. This is more of like a scattered, almost zonal flow here, early part of next week. And then you see a really powerful jet streak jamming into California at this forecast hour. So this is middle of next week. And then you're seeing some energy ripple out of that. Okay, so even right here, so this is at 270 hours, so this is not very reliable, but you almost have a storm here, and a storm here, all parading through the United States. So this would keep it interesting and active, I think. Maybe not right there the early part of next week, the first week of January, but perhaps later on in the week we'll see some more action. Because if you think about it, on Friday it'll be the third storm in a series of storms stretching from this past Sunday to Friday. 3 storms in a week is pretty active. It's about as active as it gets for Wisconsin. So you would expect to have a downtime in there somewhere where the pattern reloads. So now that I've talked about the large scale going ons, let's talk about more about Friday and what that system looks like. I have up here now, and we're just going to show you this for relative comparison's sake. This is the system tonight, Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, moving through Wisconsin. Okay, that's a pretty good shot of snow. Again, it's in that progressive flow, and it's got a lot of warm air advection, so it's got a lot of moisture to work with in here. And I think those snow bands are going to be pretty heavy. It covers a lot of area, but it's not a major system in terms of snow, in terms of wind, ice, or anything else. Okay, it's mainly just snow. And then as we go into Thursday morning, a little bit of a high pressure works through. And then Friday morning, you see this large southern stream system moving into the country. Now, the things to note about this, what's characteristic of this low pressure, this type of system is, look at all the rain and mixed precipitation that moves in with this, and not much snow on here. Why is that? Because there's not as much cold air being cycled into this system. It's the southern stream system with warm surge moving up like this, and so it's dominated by that type of precipitation, rain. So the warm layer is probably all the way up to here, and by the time it gets into Wisconsin, the warm layer will have to be in there, and then it'll have to cool off from top to bottom. So you basically snow and rain into the lower areas of the atmosphere and turn it to all snow by the end of it. You'll see that evolve here. Okay, and this is the GFS, and maybe it's a little bit more optimistic about they're all still a little bit different, and I'll show you that in a second. But yeah, that's what you're seeing here, right? So you're seeing this surge of rain moving north and turning to snow, a narrowish band of snow across southern Wisconsin on this model run. We'll see about the eventual track replacement. But then as we go towards Friday night, this is 6 p.m. Friday night, and then this is midnight. Wow, it really just falls off the radar, essentially. So that's not really a signal of a major system to me. This is sort of like a weakening system, so you're going to probably have some issues there and some reason to be more conservative, in my opinion. I don't know. I mean, we'll see how things plan out. So let's compare all these different models. Here's the European for 6 p.m. on Friday night, and you're seeing kind of a zone of snow in here. A lot of these models are going to show something going on in Wisconsin. European, Canadian, a little bit different, and it's been a little bit different. Okay, this is nothing new. GFS is pretty much on the same page, but it's got some gaps in there, which makes you wonder, you scratch your head, how's that going to work out? And then here's just another version of GFS. Again, it's almost like they took the European and tried to make it more, just copied the European here for the GFS V16, but they look very similar. And then the NAM, okay, that has the snow band way off into northern Wisconsin, which could happen, but the NAM tends to be on the northern side of things typically. And I wouldn't rule it out, but in that same zone where it looked like the GFS had heavy snow, you have nothing going on here. So just a lot of things to work out with that for Friday. In terms of other impact, again, the wind doesn't look like it's going to be that great. I mean, you might have some wind gusts picking up, but I just don't see it. Not like the system we had a week ago. And then you may have the sleet or freezing rain. Well, because think of it, tonight into tomorrow, you're going to pick up you could pick up 6 inches of snow across a lot of southern Wisconsin. So that cold air is going to probably tend to linger into Thursday and Friday, cooling it off, and so the low levels will probably be colder in a way that might support more snow than is progged currently, or that you might think, just based on that snow being there. It helps cool things off. It definitely helps. So we'll see how that goes. Snowfall amounts on the GFS. And this has fluctuated even from run to run, and I expect it to. But, perhaps, you could have a band in here that goes several inches, but a narrow band, nothing major. And, I think that it would be very easily overcome or not much of an impact because these higher amounts over 6 would be very localized. On this model run, we'll see how it actually pans out. European, I think is a little bit weaker. And this is the GFS, the one that looks like the European, but on steroids. And it's kind of in that same zone, in that same sort of, but a little bit snowier, but on the same magnitude of snowfall. So it's nothing major, but maybe a 3 to 6 band in there somewhere. we'll have to see. And I did show you what that would all look like, the snow depth, on my last update. Again, assuming this goes, in here somewhere, the snowfall, you're going to have probably a foot of snow on the ground by Saturday morning. Snow depth, okay? Total snow depth once you add in each individual snow event. So that's pretty good. I mean, for southern Wisconsin, we'll have to take a look at the national NOAA snowfall assessment, but that's pretty good for southern Wisconsin. You're going to have a lot more snow in the south than you do in the north, probably, but 1L is said and done, which is unusual. Now we're going to go on and for the last few seconds here, we're going to take a look at just how this all pans out over time with regards to low pressure systems, surface lows, precipitation type as we go through the period. Again, here's your storm again on a larger scale. And then you have that southern stream system jamming up from the south. Okay, you got the cooling going on that northern fringe into Wisconsin. That's a pretty weak system for a low pressure. I mean, because it was pretty strong as it came out of Texas on this model run, and then into Oklahoma, but it starts to weaken a little bit, and that's why you get the issues there. And then, I'm going to go through the weekend. I guess it's looking pretty calm right now. We don't have any major storms across all the country this weekend. As we go into early next week, they're kind of still somewhat still in that same boat, I guess, but we're watching kind of some energy could possibly be developing there towards the middle of next week, like I mentioned. This is a weak system now. I'm sorry, I got this red zone here still, but we'll have to see how this looks in the end. I mean, that could happen that way. I just feel like in January, you would tend to be a little bit colder in terms of that. I just have a hard time thinking a weak system of that nature would produce that much rain across Wisconsin, but you never know. And then, no, I don't want to pull a sounding. Thank you very much. And then you get another system blowing up, and this one goes poleward through Minnesota at a 990 millibar. Again, we're at 246 hours, so this is just magical land here. And then you get another system, which would, in this situation, be a major system at 306 hours if it panned out that way. But this is going to change 100 different times. And I mean, things to look forward to. I mean, it's not boring next week. It's certainly something going on to look forward to. That pattern at a large scale is very favorable for winter storms. Let's take it all the way to the end here, and we could even have another one perhaps. So anyway, things to look forward to. I have the next few days I'll summarize on the website. Go there, check it out. There's a section here under forecast called storms where you can keep your bearings straight regarding the systems that are coming up. I only have it out through January 1st. I'm not going to be tracking any of those ones next week yet, if at all. But yeah, I mean, this one's here. I got some information on that already. Last night I posted something saying, this is what it might look like. Doesn't mean it's going to be that way or that much, but it's kind of get you going down that path. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Stay warm. It's going to be cold in January, 30 degrees, but you're from Wisconsin, so chances are you got it all covered. It ain't nothing. It's actually warm. I might see some people on t-shirts next week, but yeah, anyways, it's just, oh man, I love it when the weather's active and I get to talk about interesting stuff. There's a quote, I think it's called, is it by some former president or somebody, Andrew Jackson maybe, it says, "I'm not built for the calm, I'm built for the storm." And I've really been thinking about that a lot lately. I love that quote because that's me totally. So anyways, take her easy, guys. Talk to you soon.